Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. And Foil Armor, flatten your foils fast. Today's game has us playing leftover legendaries, with Max winning the die roll. He draws, plays a Windswept Heath, and sacrifices it for a Sacred Foundry. Metcha just plays a Plains. Arja's got a Swamp, and he casts Death's Shadow. It gets taken out immediately because of Arja's life total, and he passes to me. I just play a tapped Razortide Bridge. Max has got a Plains, and casts Boros Signet. Metcha draws and plays a Forest, and then casts Taru Taru. He has Max drawing the card, which gets Metcha a treasure token, and he passes to Arja after that. Arja just plays a Swamp and passes. I play a Command Tower and pay 2 for a Smuggler's Copter. Max plays a Plains and has enough to cast Solemn Simulacrum. As the sad robot enters, he goes to find a basic to the field tapped. Metcha plays a Plains and pays 3 for an Enduring Innocence, passing after the enchantment creature resolves. Arja's turn has him playing a Swamp, and he casts Xu-Ifit and passes. I draw and play an untapped Steam Vents, taking 2, and then cast Kilo. I then crew the Smuggler's Copter, and send it at Arja. I get to loot a card, and he then takes 3. I pass after that. Max's turn has him playing a Slayer Stronghold and casting Arbaz Mir. He follows with Ragost and deals 1 with Arbaz to his opponents. He then dashes out Ragavan, dealing another one thanks to Arbaz's trigger as well. Going to combat, Max sends Ragavan at me, and I take 2 and exile an Unwinding Clock off the top. Max also makes a treasure token and passes, returning Ragavan to hand at the end of turn. Metcha's got a Forest and has enough mana to cast Doubling Season. Arja plays a High Market and then activates Xu-Ifit to get back the Death's Shadow as a skeleton with no abilities. It's still a 13/13, and he follows up by casting a Fleshbag Marauder. The table's all forced to sacrifice a creature, and he passes after that. I play Anakar Wastes as my land for turn, and then tap enough mana, casting Crystalline Crawler with 3 different types of mana. It comes in with 3+1/+1 counters. Max plays Knuckles, and then dashes out Ragavan again. We all take 2 from Arbaz, and Max then sends everything at Metcha. Matt blocks Ragavan but takes the rest, with Max getting 2 treasures from Knuckles. After combat, Max then plays Bucknard's Everfull Purse and passes. Metcha draws and plays out a Brushland, and then warps out Loading Zone. He then plays a District Mascot. He follows up by casting Dyadrine, putting 1 into the X, which enters with a total of 12+1 counters. Going to combat, Metcha then sends Taru Taru at Max, triggering Dyadrine, and he removes a counter from the District Mascot and Dyadrine, drawing a card and making 2 robot tokens thanks to Doubling Season. With one of the robots entering, Metcha also draws a card from Enduring Innocence. Max then takes a hit for 0. Metcha then moves through his phases, exiling Landing Zone, which he's able to cast later on. Arja's got a Swamp and casts Buried Alive. He gets Leveler, Illuminar Caesaris, and Desolation Twin. He then casts a Chitin Gravestalker. He follows up by activating Xu-Ifit, getting the Desolation Twin into play with no abilities. Arja then sends the Death's Shadow at Matt. He chumps with a robot token, and Arja passes after combat. I draw and activate Crystalline Crawler to put a +1/+1 counter onto it. I then play Retreat to Coralhelm, and play a land with a Glittering Massif. I untap the Crawler, and then tap it again for another counter, and I then remove 4 counters to help cast Kilo. I then tap Kilo to crew up the Smuggler's Copter, and proliferate, adding a counter onto the Crawler. I then send the Copter at max. I loot a card, and Max then takes 3, and I pass. Max draws and once more dashes in Ragavan, and then sends Knuckles and Ragavan at me. I take the hit, and Max exiles a Whirler Rogue from me, which he then casts after combat. He makes 2 Thopter tokens as it comes in, and passes. Matt's got a Plains and sends Taru at me. Once more Dyadrine triggers during combat, and he removes some counters to make 2 robots and draw a card. He also gets to draw from the Enduring Innocence. Match's second main phase then has him casting Inspiring Leader, and he follows up with a Rampant Growth to find a basic. Arja draws and activates Xu-Ifit, this time getting back Leveler. And he then sends Death's Shadow and the Desolation Twin at Max. Max taps 4 artifacts to make them both unblockable thanks to my Whirler Rogue, with Mathieu taking 23. Arja then casts Unearth and brings back Illuminor Caesaris. I've got an Intruder Alarm in my main phase, and tap the Crystalline Crawler to add a counter, and then crew up the Smuggler's Copter with Kilo to proliferate again. I then cast an Etched Oracle with 4 colors for 4 counters. And as it comes in, I untap all of my creatures. I then tap the Crawler for another counter, and send the Copter and Kilo at Arja, proliferating again. And after combat, I then remove counters from the Etched Oracle to draw 3. I then play a Plaza of Heroes, and as it comes in, I untap the Crawler with a Retreat to Coralhelm. After that, I cast a Reckless Handling, and Mathieu responds by using his District Mascot to destroy the Bucknard's Everfull Purse. Max responds by activating it, and rolls a 1, and then sacrifices the purse to Ragost to deal 3 to everyone, which takes Mathieu out. I then go and tutor for Shorkai, put it to hand, and then sadly discard it, and deal 2 to my opponents. I then pass turn. Max draws, and overloads a Winds of Abandon, with Arja casting Convicted Conviction in response, and sacrificing Illuminaire Cerazas. He also uses High Market to sacrifice Death's Shadow, and I then respond with Dovin's Veto on the Winds. Max then makes his Knuckles and Arbaz unblockable thanks to my Whirler Rogue, and sends Knuckles at me and Arbaz at Arja. We can't block, so Max gets 3 treasures. In his second main phase, Max then hardcasts Ragavan and untaps all creatures with Intruder Alarm. He then passes, and during the end step, Arja casts Liliana's Triumph, and with it on the stack, I crew up the Smuggler's Copter and sacrifice it while Max sacrifices a Thopter. Arja draws for turn and activates Xu-Ifit. He brings back the Death's Shadow again, which triggers Intruder Alarm and untaps his commander. With the trigger on the stack, I also add a counter to the Crawler with the untap, and Arja then continues by getting back Fleshbag Marauder, and then casts a Stitcher Supplier. He then casts a Dread Return, which brings back Plaguecrafter, and I sacrifice Kilo while Max sacrifices his last Thopter. Arja then plays this little piggy with the Stitcher Supplier, sending it to the High Market, and as it gets sacrificed, mills another 3 and gains 1. Going to combat, Arja then sends his 3 creatures at me, and I chump the largest but take the rest. His second main phase then has Arja flashing back Dread Return, bringing back Illuminor Cerazas, and then brings back the 3 creatures he sacrificed with Xu-Ifit thanks to the Intruder Alarm, untapping his commander each time a creature comes in. I draw and play a Battlefield Forge, and scry 1 off Retreat to Coralhelm. I then recast Kilo, and play out a Lux Cannon. I then follow up by playing a Patrolling Peacemaker, and pass. Max draws and makes Knuckles and Ragavan unblockable, and he sends Knuckles at Arja and Ragavan at me. He hits a land off of Ragavan's trigger, and then activates Ragost, sacrificing an artifact to deal 3 to us. He then follows it up by casting a full Farewell, excelling everything, and passes. Arja draws, replays Xu-Ifit, and passes. I've got a Karn's Bastion for turn, and then cast Midnight Clock, passing to Max. Max's turn has him casting Nexus of Becoming, and uses it to make an Exalted Sunborn token. He passes after that. Arja plays Sidisi Undead Vizier and exploits itself. And he then uses Xu-Ifit to bring it back as a skeleton. Arja then plays Takanuma as his land for turn and passes to me. I just draw, play a mountain, and recast Kilo. Max's turn has him playing Mondrak, and he goes to combat. He makes a Crested Sunmare token with the Nexus of Becoming, which in turn becomes 4 copies thanks to his token doublers. And he sends the Exalted Sunborn at me. I get taken out, and Max gains 3 life. During his end step, he then makes 16 horses with his Sunmares, and passes to Arja. Arja, hoping for a board wipe, cycles Lurching Rot Beast to draw a card. Arja draws and casts Night's Whisper, drawing 2 and losing 2. And then casts Corpses of the Lost. He makes a skeleton, and then cycles Malboro to go and find a swamp. Unfortunately, nothing will stomp the stampede of horses though, and he knows when he's beat and scoops it up to Max. Game review time. So hopefully everyone's enjoying these Edge of Eternity's commanders. I've certainly had a lot of fun playing with them, especially once we got past the uncommon decks. Kilo's a really cool commander, although you have to have a lot of hoops to jump through to be able to get him to tap, and I'm really hoping to win with him on camera at some point with the Millennium Calendar. I think Ragost is probably the most popular commander from the set, since sacrificing food to bolt your opponents is just super sweet, and he's a lobster citizen, enough said. Dyadrine was my spoiler card, so I'm really glad Matchia built this, and it seemed to work pretty well, especially with doubling season out. Xu-Ifit was also a really kind of cool take on Reanimator. It allows you to bring back really huge creatures that normally have downside, without getting that downside. I will say the only thing that it seemed to be missing was a way to help his commanders connect, with like Menace or Trample or Flying. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.